I think he was assassinated for two reasons, and both of them fundamentally were economic. One, he opposed the war in Vietnam. Now, he had wrestled with opposing. He had been thinking about it for a long time because he had people pushing him. People like Stokely Carmichael, later known as Kwame Ture, and many of the brothers and sisters from SNCC as early as 1963. Because John Lewis, when he spoke at the same march that Dr. King spoke at and gave the I Have a Dream speech, John Lewis was going to talk about Vietnam, but they edited Vietnam out of his speech. So the SNCC people had been pushing Dr. King, and then finally Dr. King gave that speech. People call it the Why I Oppose the War in Vietnam speech, but its actual title is A Time to Break the Silence, because Dr. King had been silent. He had been part of an arrangement not to talk about the war, and LBJ would get the Civil Rights Bill through. But as a man of conscience, he couldn't not talk, and ultimately he had to break that silence. So that was thing one. Thing two was the Poor People's Campaign. In his book, Where Do We Go From Here, Chaos or Community, Dr. King said that he wanted to bring 1 million people to Washington, D.C. to engage in massive nonviolent civil disobedience until the Congress passed an economic Bill of Rights. Living wage for all, a guaranteed income, education for all, universal health care. All of these things were part of his economic Bill of Rights in 1968. And I think because of the war in Vietnam, the Poor People's Campaign, those two things were the reasons that they would assassinate him. And it wasn't just the effort. There were several attempts to kill Dr. King. They feared King because they thought that he might be the one that could not only unify the black movement, but bring the black movement, the anti-war movement together, to bring that real kind of people's rainbow coalition together, and that would lead a movement to change the system.